Hello, what is up? This is Hussein Talib, host of the Success Grade podcast, streaming now on Amazon Music. Inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and business education to help you raise the standards to achieve greatness. Find and follow the Success Grade podcast in the Amazon Music app to get every episode now. Hello and welcome, Success Grade Nation, to this new episode of the Success Grade podcast with your host Hussein Talib. My guest today, Jeremy Streten, is the founder of the Business Legal Lifecycle. Business Legal Lifecycle aims to provide access to legal advice to all medium-sized businesses around the world. So, Jeremy, welcome to the grid. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Hussein, and thanks for having me. And you got my pronouncing my name right, so all good.
Yeah, awesome. So, let me first begin. Why did you start the Business Life Cycle? Is it something that you found an opportunity in to begin with?
Yeah, so a great question. And it was really around, so I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. And really what happened, Hussein, was I was acting for businesses and doing, helping people out and assisting people with what they needed from a legal perspective. And I had two matters that I handled. One where one client lost $1 million of other people's money, and another one where a client almost lost $2 million of their own money. Whoa. And when I sat down with them and worked out what had happened and spoke to them and all the rest of it, I asked them why they didn't get legal advice, because both problems could have been solved if they just got legal advice. And I got the same response that I just get too often from people, which is they see lawyers as too expensive. They see it as something that they don't want to have to deal with. They don't like dealing with lawyers, and they think that they can just solve the problem later. And it really hit me, Hussein, that the legal industry has really developed, and this is worldwide because I've studied this worldwide. It's really developed into this reactive model where people come to lawyers where there's a problem, and we solve that problem. The problem with that approach is that there's so many legal problems that can be solved proactively if we just go and get advice and we just talk about it. So really, I at the time I was really learning about life cycles of businesses, and I was studying the ADIZ life cycle, which you may or may not be familiar with. And I realized that there was a life cycle for the legal journey in a business. And so I sat down, and I was really, it's one of those moments where you can really just recall it vividly in your mind, where you're sitting there and you're completely frustrated, and then you come up with this idea, and it took a few iterations going backwards and forwards, but I realized that there was a certain pattern that my successful clients had been through, and there was a certain pattern that the unsuccessful clients had been through. And I realized that there was a cycle, there was a life cycle of how successful businesses implemented the legal strategies in their business, and that's how it came about. So that's a bit of a long answer to your question, but it's important to understand that it did come from that need, and then I really did study at that time it was around 5,000 businesses that I'd acted for over the years. Whoa. And worked out what worked and what hadn't worked, and mapped out the life cycle. So and since then, as I said before, I'm based in Australia. I've expanded it to the UK and the US. And the cycle is the same across all countries that I've dealt with so far.
You're right. Yeah, it's when someone starts a business, for example, any kind of business, whether it's online or offline, it's like legal stuff. Normal people usually don't know these kind of things, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Because you don't know what you don't know. It's the Johari window. You got your unknown unknowns. And if I'm your lawyer, I don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know either. So we've got to help people to find those blind spots and those risks that they have in their business.
Yeah. So why do you think that people themselves are not educated on certain topics before it start a business? Now, I assume people don't go to legal advice because you mentioned earlier it could be expensive from the lawyer's side. It's expensive to pay them at the beginning of the business, for example, right? So why they don't educate themselves in the first place? And this is one of the things that you actually started the business life cycle So why do they don't educate themselves in that area of things? Do they find it difficult? Do you see, or what's the reasons why?
I think there's probably two main reasons. The first one is they do see it as too difficult. Yeah, lawyers speak with big words, and we pretend like we have these complicated concepts that only we understand. And really, that's just not true. The terms that lawyers speak in can be explained in plain English. And one of the things that I'm very focused on whenever when I wrote my book, when we produced the website, everything is in plain English so that people can understand what they need to do. The other thing is just comes back to what I said before around the unknown unknowns, the blind spots. When you're starting a business, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what you're missing in your business. So you need to go and find that out. And what I find, Hussein, is even people who've been in business for 20 years. I was, just this afternoon talking to a client of mine who's been in business for 20 plus years, and something I thought he would know, he just didn't know. And so just by having that conversation and just by making him aware of the different things that are out there, we're able to help him to prevent problems from arising in the future. So it really comes. It's not intentional. It's just we don't know what we don't know. So we've got to be proactive and find out that information for ourselves so that we can build great businesses.
Yeah, exactly. So from your own business perspective, what was the consideration for your success? Did you see like other companies did the same before you begin? How did you approach your business?
Yeah, so I mean, when I started my law firm, I started it because, and I say this completely sarcastically, I knew what I was doing better than what my old bosses were. That old story that when we start out, we start our business and we think that, well, if those bosses could do that, I could do that too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I started very ignorantly, and I realized very early on that I needed to get an education in what I needed to do in business. So I put my success down to the education that I got. So that education was with a business coach, but also from reading and learning, being open to new ideas. I'm constantly reading. Like I have a goal, Hussein, that I've done for about the last 4 years of reading 3 hours a day. So learning for 3 hours a day, something. And I put my success down to that I'm able to, I'm a sponge who can like listen to lots of different things, and then I can work out what works for me and then apply it to what I need to do. And it just comes down to that hard work, just being not afraid to do the hard work and just keep on going.
Yeah, cool. So let me ask you why, for example, you put, for example, this 3 hours per day, like to learn something new or to read about something. Why do you do that? What does that bring to you personally and to your business?
I think for me, one, I enjoy it. I enjoy learning new concepts and thinking about how I can apply that. Also, that 3 hours also includes reading, good quality magazines and about what's going on in the world. I read different resources around that. So part of it's enjoyment, part of it is just increasing my knowledge base, and then it's taking those ideas and thinking, okay, but that idea, how could that idea apply to my business? Or how could I make that work in my business? And I really find it fun to study business and to study the different intricacies of it. And it's just something that I just enjoy so much that it's a natural thing. I get up very early. I'm an early riser, and I have 2 small children, so I get in somewhere between an hour and 2 hours worth in the morning before they get up. And it's just something I enjoy doing. And then I spend the rest of my day thinking about how can I apply that in what I do.
Yeah, awesome. So I love that you love to learn. In general, people, when we're in school or at universities and colleges, people don't like really to learn. We're just passing the time to get this certificate in quotes, So why do you enjoy to learn? Is that something that, for example, your parents put into you? Is it something that you develop by yourself? Why do you love to learn?
That's an excellent question. I think that the answer, I know the answer is my parents definitely instilled that early on, the importance of learning. And I think that there was a time when I was a young lawyer before I started my own business where I didn't do that as well. And I don't think my life, when I reflect back on it, I don't think my life was really in a good place when I was doing that. I just wasn't focused in what I was doing. And it was really when I started to really focus back on learning that I saw the success, and I see the success every day of the learning process. And so that motivates me to keep on going and to make sure that I'm growing myself, because I think, in the past when I haven't done that as well, I'm bored. So I find it boring just doing the same thing all the time. So there's a number of reasons, but I definitely think my parents instilled that in me early on.
Yeah, exactly. So what is, for example, one thing that you wish you knew before you even start the business?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I think probably the main thing was just around really how emotional intelligence and your own personal emotional intelligence really affects the way that your team respond to you and how you build a business. Being a lawyer, you're often a personality. we'll put it out there as a personality, you got all different personalities within a business, and sometimes you don't think about how what you do affects other people. And exactly. I think if I could have my time again, I'd really think about the way that I acted, especially early on, even when I was an employed solicitor, and how I acted and how that would have affected other people. And now it's something that I do a lot of work on. I do emotional intelligence surveys. I get my team to give me feedback all the time. And it's something that since I've done that, I see a great reward in my relationships with them and just my enjoyment of what I do every day.
Yeah. So from that, how important do you see having a real culture? And when I am talking about culture, and whether it's a small business, like a business that has the owner and two people, whatever the size of the business or the company is, how important it is to have a culture that sits everyone on the same page, let's say.
I think it's crucial. I think you're not going to have a successful company if that's not the case. I've seen it too many times where people are at each other's throats, where they don't understand where each other's coming from, and that just creates a bad culture. And when you've got a bad culture, that breeds a bad team, and that means an unsuccessful business. So I think it is the number one thing that I've learned that you need to have that's important. And as a leader in the business, you need to be the one who drives that. And that's the lesson that I learned, was that I need to drive that culture, and I need to drive that and make sure that everyone's on the same page with it. Otherwise, it just doesn't work, and it becomes an issue. So, yeah.
So what do you think that would you consider a big failure in your business?
I think that not being emotionally aware early on was a big failure. So not knowing how to express myself emotionally first and lead the way, and then encourage that with my team. I can think of, until I started really getting into this area, I can see lots of examples where I could have just done it so much better, and things failed because I wasn't emotionally aware and I wasn't willing to put myself out there. And therefore the team reacted in that way. And so, I see that as being the root cause of those issues.
So why do you think you weren't ready emotionally, or these kind of things? Why?
Why? I think because I didn't know it was a thing. Because I was a lawyer. and a very successful lawyer who could get great results for his clients, and still do. And I think that success breeds complacency, where you think you're untouchable. And quite frankly, I'm saying, I don't think I cared that much about other people. But as I've developed, I've realized that if I want to build any sort of business, if I want to build any sort of team, you have to do that. That becomes crucial. And that took time. I wouldn't say I was terrible at it, but it certainly that wasn't my focus. But it definitely is now.
So when you actually realize that people, for example, are important to business, are there certain people, for example, 3 people who have the most influence on you? Influence on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I got my business coach. I've got my speaking coach, who helped me do my speaking, and then my business manager as well. They'd probably be the 3 who have the biggest influence on me and are the most important for me going forward.
So how did they help you? Because like you have your speaking coach, for example. Does that brought you more confidence in your life in general and for your business also?
Yeah, yeah, I
How
think
does that work for you in a positive way?
yeah. So definitely in a positive way. So my speaking coach, I used to tell myself the story that I wasn't a good speaker, that I wasn't a good public speaker. It's great with clients, great.
We all do that.
We do, don't we? And she really helped me to see that it was just an excuse, that it really was, that I was a great public speaker, and she gave me the tools and techniques to show me that was the case, and the confidence to go and do that. And I was able to use that education that she gave me to really shift my mindset, and then go out there and do presentations pre-pandemic, pre-2020, to do lots of presentations and to do them very successfully and get really good feedback. So for me, it's around trusting the person who's giving you the advice and then believing them later. So I didn't trust her at the time, and she knows that. If you're listening, you know I'm talking about. And you know that I didn't trust you to, I didn't trust to begin with, but over time, I trusted the process. I believed in the process, and it came through the other side. And I think you're right. There's a lot of us have that. I'm not a public speaker. I can't do this. I can't do that. At the end of the day, though, we can all do it if we try, and if we stop telling ourselves that story in the back of our heads.
Yeah. So, do you think is there something, some kind of, for example, myths or these kind of things about the lawyers themselves around that business? Because like we mentioned earlier in the episode, people who want to start a business, they probably don't seek advice from lawyers because for many reasons, for being expensive, although they think they don't need it for these kind of things. So what is there other myths around this subject, do you think, around this profession or industry?
Yeah, I think there are, and I think one of the big ones, we kind of touched on it earlier, is that the only people who can know this stuff, who can know this legal stuff, are lawyers. You need to have a law degree, and one of our taglines is that you can understand the law without a law degree. You really can. It's really not that hard. But it's about finding the right information that works for you at the time. And when I say it's not that hard, actually going and implementing, some of the things, that is hard, and you need a lawyer. But to understand the broad area of why you need to do certain things, why you might need to protect your intellectual property, when that might apply, everyone can understand that. And it's not some ethereal thing that only lawyers can understand. Everyone can understand that. How you then go and enforce that, and how you then go and actually go and physically protect it, that's the thing that the lawyer does. But the actual reasons behind why you need to do things and what it all means, it's very easy to understand, and that's why I wrote my book. And why we have all the resources we have on our website is because people can understand it. They just need to have the confidence to do so.
For businesses who are starting, how they can get cost-effective legal advice?
Yeah, I think the first key is educating themselves so that they understand what they might need. And then it's really finding a lawyer that they can trust, someone that they can build a relationship with to really help them through the whole process. Because, as I said, I told the stories before about those clients that lost all that money and almost lost their own money. They didn't have a lawyer as a sounding board on what they needed to do. They just went and did things and just thought that they could be successful later on. What they need to do is they need to get the advice from a lawyer and build a relationship with lawyers. And that's part of the problem, Hussein, is the fact that lawyers don't see that building a lifelong relationship with their client is something that they need to do. And so they become very transactional. And then what happens is clients seeking advice just become very transactional, never build that lifelong relationship. So if we're talking to any startup businesses today, I would strongly encourage them to go and get advice now and build a relationship with a lawyer that they trust and that will give them the right advice going forward. You may not need that relationship forever, but it will help you from the beginning. and it will help you to build that great business and avoid those legal risks that they can be prevented if you just get the advice early on.
Yeah. So you are a lawyer. You are good at that. You are good at lawyering, I guess so. So what are you what are you not good at?
What am I not good at? Well, I'm not good at maths. That's one of the reasons I became a lawyer. I'm not good at any physical team sport is something that I'm not good at either. So,
really? So you don't support any sporting teams there?
I love watching sport. I just don't enjoy playing physical team sports. So we have rugby league, all those kind of sports. Just never been something that I've been good at, and something that I don't enjoy doing.
In Australia, the famous sport is rugby, I think, or it's like similar to American football. This is very popular there, right?
It is very popular. It is very different though. We don't wear helmets and shoulder pads and any protection. It's all just body on body.
I actually played rugby here in Jordan, and it's very intense game. So it's like intense. So I quit. So
fair enough. And that was the same for me. I just didn't like we played it at school. It was like a required thing at school, and so to answer your question, what I'm not good at, it's those kind of things. I just don't enjoy them, and I think that's probably the truth of it. Anything that I don't enjoy, I'm not good at, because I don't want to put the time in to learn, and I don't want to put the time in and effort into doing it. I love what I do, and I really enjoy my time. And,
exactly. So you want to put more time into learning more and take yourself to the next levels on the things that you already know. This is what makes a good entrepreneur. That's what makes a good business owner, right?
Exactly. Because if you're not going forwards, then you're going backwards. If you're staying still, you're going backwards, because everyone else is moving forward with you. So it's really important to grow as you go. And it just, as I said before, it just makes life more fun.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are you looking for in the future in regards to businesses and the type of business that you are running?
Yeah, I think for me, part of why I come on and do a lot of podcasts is I like talking to business owners, and I love the podcast medium because you can really talk to people. And at the moment, what we've developed is all about giving me advice for people. In the future, I would really like to develop systems and software where we actually can help generate documents, and we can actually provide more advice to people. At the moment, I don't think the technology isn't up to date, and it certainly isn't cost effective enough to be able to do that. But in the future, that's somewhere where I see this business going. So at the moment, we help you to identify what you need to do in your business, and you need to go to a lawyer to fulfill that need, to block that gap. In the future, we see actually being able to help you by helping you draft a document and doing it properly, using AI to do it properly, to be able to then to be able to provide the full service to business owners. We're just not there yet on a cost-effective technology yet. I think the technology is probably there, but the cost-effectiveness isn't there. That's where. Yeah, it definitely will soon. Yeah. And it's something that I research on a regular basis, and somewhere where I can definitely see this going. But that's my big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah. So what would you say and advise to anyone who's wanting to start a business now?
I think there's two things that I would say. First of all, Stephen Covey talks about in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, starting with the end in mind. And in my work with startup business owners and business owners, I see often people kind of shirk at that. They don't like that idea because who knows where they'll end up in 10, even 2 years' time. And so what I say is start up with an end in mind. Have some idea about where you want to go. Know that it will change. If you had told me when I started my business 11 years ago that I'd be recording podcasts and flying around the world and doing everything that I'm doing, I would have laughed at you. Right?
Yeah.
But have a goal, because all of your decisions, all of your legal decisions should be made with the knowledge of where you want to take the business, so that you can do that properly. So make sure that you know where you're heading, and then educate yourself. You don't have to spend 3 hours a day educating yourself. I know I'm a little bit crazy like that. Educate yourself about what business, what you need to do. Educate yourself on where you think you need to go, and then go and get advice. Lawyers aren't that scary. And if you deal with a scary one, go and find another one. We're a dime a dozen. There's heaps of us around, and you'll find one. And so get the advice and do it correctly from the beginning, and it will save you a lot in the future.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. And what people don't realize is that when you set like a goal to achieve in whatever area of your life, that can change, and deadlines can change. The most important thing, I guess, is to keep going at it until you achieve what you want to achieve. It's not like,
Exactly.
it's not like things are not like a click of a button. So you have to work at it. Yeah. So, Jeremy, what would you say one takeaway for this episode for the listeners?
I think it's to not be afraid. Don't be afraid to go and find out what you need to do and put your head in the sand, because if you do that, that's when all these problems occur. You might not lose $1 million of other people's money, but you could lose your business. You could lose lots of things, because I know I talk about this when I go around the world, and lawyers always come up to me when I talk about this stuff, and they whisper to me, I had the same thing happen to me. And I always say to them, because it happens all over the world. It happens everywhere. So learn and get yourself educated. Don't be afraid of it, and it'll set you up for success going forward.
Awesome. Where can people get in touch with you, Jeremy?
Yeah, so as a thank you for having me on today, I've put together a page on our website. So if people go to businesslegallifecycle.com/success grid, just as one word, they'll get a page that we've developed especially as a thank you. One of our signature products is an assessment that you can do of your business. It's $97 normally. It gives about $1,000 worth of legal value, and it assesses what you're missing in your business from a legal perspective. As I said, as a thank you for having me on, if the listeners go to that page, they'll see there's a 50% discount that they can take on that test. So it's just under $50, where they can learn what are the legal blind spots of their business and work out what they need to do to plug those holes in their business. If they want to know more, there's heaps of other resources on our website. So go to that page and you'll be able to go around our website and see all the other resources that we've got there. And if you want to follow me, I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. If they search for my name, I'm the only Jeremy Streten who spells my name the way that I do. They'll find me on there.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Jeremy, for being on this episode of the Success Grid podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Success Grid. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found value in the show, rate and leave a review on iTunes. For more resources, visit successgrid.net. Until next time.